Don't be a Barbara the Builder, never build up a man. We've all heard it. It's advice that's become popular in our circles, something that we've been told over and over again. The fear behind it is all too familiar. If we help a man become successful, he'll grow to resent us. Once he's made it, he'll leave us behind for someone new. A woman who only knows him at his best, someone he couldn't have gotten before his success. This is why so many of us are warned to avoid men who are still works in progress. Instead, we're told to find a man who has already made it. The idea is that if we choose someone who's already successful, we reduce the risk of being abandoned when he reaches the top. If he pursues us at that stage of his life, we must be his dream girl, right? But here's the thing, it's not that simple, is it? On the surface, this advice seems like common sense. Choose a man who's already where he needs to be, and you won't have to worry about him outgrowing you. He'll already have what he wants. I used to believe this strategy too. I thought that if I became the kind of woman a high-value man would choose, I'd be protected from all the heartbreak and disappointment that comes with relationships. But deep down, something didn't feel right. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that this strategy was missing something. Even if we meet a man who's already successful, it doesn't mean we're safe from the deeper issues that exist. A man who would grow to resent us for building him up won't magically become a better person just because he's already successful. His character doesn't transform with his bank account. If he was fragile and insecure before, those same issues are still there. If a man's ego is so fragile that he can't handle the idea of owing his partner for her support, that insecurity won't disappear with his success. Instead, he may hide it behind the confidence that comes with money and status. These men often want women who only see them at their best because their egos can't handle being seen at their worst. They don't want to owe us anything, even if it means throwing away the relationship. So choosing a man who's already successful won't necessarily protect us from their true nature. The problem isn't when we meet them, it's who they are at their core. And unfortunately, success doesn't always fix the fundamental issues some men have with seeing women as equals or valuing relationships that aren't transactional. Many of us believe that if we set high standards and carefully vet the men we date, we can find a unicorn, a man who checks all the boxes and genuinely cares about us. We think that if we do everything right, choose wisely, hold out for the right one, and be cautious, we'll find a man who won't disappoint us like the others. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Even when a man treats us well, there's often something transactional behind it. He's benefiting in some way, whether it's from our emotional labour, our physical affection, or the social status he gains by being with us. That good treatment isn't always coming from a place of genuine care. It's often because he's getting something out of it. I'm not saying that all men are malicious or manipulative, but many men don't treat women well out of the goodness of their hearts. They treat us well because it serves them in some way. And when that benefit starts to fade, so does their affection. How many of us have been in relationships where the man suddenly becomes distant or dismissive, leaving us wondering what we did wrong? The reality is, nothing went wrong on our end. The relationship was always transactional, and once he stopped getting what he wanted, he pulled away. And the worst part? We're left feeling used, as if our value was tied to what we could give him rather than who we are. The cost of chasing the unicorn. We've all been there, putting ourselves out there, hoping that this time we'll find the unicorn. We invest our time, energy, and emotional labour, believing that if we just hold out long enough, we'll find the man who's different. But the truth is, the cost of this search can be steep. We pay for it with our mental health, our emotional well-being, and even our sense of self-worth. We endure the mistreatment of bad ones, hoping that the next man will be better. We navigate the dating scene, constantly trying to outsmart the system, trying to avoid the heartbreak that seems inevitable. But here's the thing. No amount of strategizing, no perfect vetting process, will protect us from men's true nature. Most men, when it suits them, will prioritize their own needs. They'll put their egos, insecurities, and desires first, no matter how carefully we've tried to choose. And the energy we expend trying to figure out how to manage them? It's exhausting, and most of the time, it's wasted. So, where do we go from here? If we can't outsmart men's nature, what's the solution? The answer is simple, but it requires a shift in how we think. Instead of strategizing around men, trying to figure out how to navigate their egos or insecurities, we need to take that energy back and focus it on ourselves. For too long, we've been told that we need to adjust, adapt, and accommodate men. We've been taught that relationships are about managing men's behavior and protecting ourselves from their opportunistic nature. But why are we spending so much time and energy on men when we could be focusing on building ourselves up? It's time we stop centering our lives around men and start centering them around ourselves. We don't need to play the game of strategizing and second-guessing every move. Instead, we can take that energy and use it to create the lives we want, whether or not a man is a part of that picture. The truth is, relationships can be wonderful. Finding a partner who truly values and respects us can bring joy and fulfillment. But that shouldn't come at the cost of our mental health or self-worth. We shouldn't have to navigate a minefield of male fragility just to find love. We deserve better than that. We deserve to build lives that are fulfilling on our own terms. We deserve to pursue our own goals and ambitions without constantly bending to the expectations of a system that was never designed for us to succeed in the first place. Let's stop chasing unicorns. Let's stop believing that we can find the perfect strategy to avoid getting hurt. We don't need to outsmart men's true nature. We can simply opt out of the game. We can reclaim our autonomy, our energy, and our power. We can focus on what truly matters, ourselves. The idea that we need to strategize our way around men's behavior is a lie. We don't need to adapt to their whims, their egos, or their insecurities. We don't need to waste our time trying to manage their expectations. Instead, we can create lives that are centered around our own growth, happiness, and fulfillment.